Good evening. Welcome to Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network. Tonight, we're talking about something. Now, if I spoiled it, told you, then you might not listen. See, that's why I just say we're talking about something, because we are talking about something. So, at any rate, enough of the silliness. Want to take time to thank Jake and Ryan over at Patriot Patch Company, patriotpatch.co, for their awesome patches. So, that's an awesome patch. That's an even awesomer patch. This is the patch of the month for June, gang. And if you kind of look in the background, you'll see patches elsewhere. I've got some here, and I've got some sitting all over the place and stuff. So, patch of the month is always amazing. And we just got to swing over to patriotpatch.co and check it out. Also want to take time to thank Sean and the gang over at Firearms Radio Network for giving us a place to hang out every week. So I did not get jack squat done and reloading because the boys graduated Friday night, and then we had a bunch of family stuff going on over the weekend. So that was my week.
You mean your boys done graduated from that high school?
Yes, they have. And I didn't even have to bribe anybody.
Is they any smarter?
Hell no. See, what happens in public schools nowadays is when you start, they take your brain from you. When you graduate, they give it back so you can start thinking on your own again.
Pretty much.
Ooh, cheap shot.
Hey, Phil.
Hey, Jim.
What you doing guns reloading this week, buddy?
Precious little, other than like we were talking about before we started rolling that picture I posted in the Reloading Podcast group. I had a friend of mine trying to diagnose an issue with an AR, and I think what we probably traced it back to was bad ammo. But it's nice. It's nice to be able to literally start a group text with like 4 gun buddies and be like, "Hey guys, what do y'all think?" And the 4 of us dissect everything that happened and try to help them figure out what the problem was. But at this point, I'm prepared to call that one bad ammo, just because the rifle has always shot fine in the past, and the only thing I know that's going to cause incipient case head separation like that is either really poorly manufactured ammo or out of headspace, and guns don't go out of headspace overnight.
No,
especially when it's a known good rifle.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what we traced it back to, and he showed me the pictures that I posted of the couple of rounds that had. One did separate, and the other one was about to. But then as he's talking me through it, he said he had a couple of rounds that were blowing primers out of the primer pockets. He had a couple that light primer strike, which I'm assuming was the primers weren't fully seated in the brass. I mean, just everything he was describing to me was really sloppily loaded ammo. So I posted up as kind of a cautionary note to everybody about don't shoot any ammo except for what you buy commercial or what you've reloaded yourself, and do some good quality control, because it sounds to me like the majority of these issues with this particular batch of remanufactured ammo could have been dealt with good quality control, which didn't happen apparently. But regrettably, that's all I did in Guns and Reloading, was trying to help out a gun buddy figure out what his rifle was doing.
Sounds good. Thanks. Travis, how about you? You're up next, buddy.
Okay. So Saturday, I had some family come down from Utah, and she brought some friends with her. So I took 4 new people to the gun range. We were able to shoot some 22, some 9, shot the AR, 300 Blackout, 458, some shotgun. Just basically spent the whole afternoon out at the gun range. Besides that, I processed about 3,000 pieces of 9mm brass. That's deprimed, sized, threw it all in the tumblers, and it's ready to load up. Then I cast up and powder coated some 9mm projectiles.
Did you tumble your brass after you resized it and decapped it?
Correct.
Okay, what do you do to make sure your flash holes are clear?
Well, we think we've gone over this before.
Yes, we
I
have.
think you guys all do this exact same process that I do. So, as those that know, when you size your cases, you need to lube them. So, most of us, after we deprime them, we throw them in to our tumblers, if that's wet or dry media. So for me, I use dry media, and that means some corn cob or walnut gets stuck in the flash holes. So you don't want to load your cases with your primer holes plugged up with media. So I run a universal decapper. So like this one right here I got in my hand. So you run it through your press, and there's your decapping pin, and whatever media is stuck in the flash hole, this cleans out the flash hole of that media and make sure you don't have anything stuck in there. So then you can go ahead and prime it.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Myself, well, like I told you guys, I loaded up that coffee can of 40 ammo. Well, at the time, I intentionally did not run it through the factory crimp die. And I've come to find out I should have. It wasn't feeding well in my magazine to my Ruger SR40C. And I also checked it today, and I was checking case miles, case diameters. I'm running about 427, 426, 424, something like that on the mouth diameter. That's with a bullet loaded in it. But after I ran all 822 rounds through the factory crimp die this afternoon, they all came out at exactly 0.409. In other words, it's just about perfect diameter. And I'm going to take and check it for velocity. I checked last week, or last Sunday I checked it, velocity. And I'm going to see if the factory crimp die actually causes my velocity to go up. Sure hope so. But even so, that's irrelevant. What I really needed was reliable feeding. And I'm, of course, hoping that the factory crimp die will take care of that problem. And anyway, when I was still running, when I did this, I also happened to take another friend shooting. He's been with me out there at the club twice now, shooting, and he enjoyed himself a second time. He shot a 44 Magnum. I chronoed his ammo, 10 rounds of it for him. And he was really impressed with his factory, or excuse me, his velocities were right about 1100 where he said the book told him. And hey, it looks good to me.
Is this the same guy you took out last time, Jim?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
Do you take your crony out every time you go shooting?
No, not every time. This is the first time I've had it out in 2 years. But I intend to take it out much more often. And just because the fact that I wasn't shooting, didn't have anywhere to go, reliable and regular, like I do now. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you.
And it's good to verify what you got.
Exactly. In other words, you're right, Travis, because I'm getting a little bit low velocity compared to what the book says I should be getting. And it seems like if I'm right, and the factory crimp setting helps, the factory crimp die helps increase the velocity, that'll put it right up, hopefully it'll put it right up to where the book says it should be. I'm running about 50 feet per second slower. I ran into a couple interesting tidbits. I chronoed some Spirit Gold Dot, and we all know how expensive that stuff is. I chronoed 10 rounds of that. I chronoed 10 rounds of American Eagle Full Metal Jacket training ammo. I chronoed 10 rounds of Winchester White Box. Same thing, factory ammo, training ammo, FMJ. And I chronoed some 175 grain cast semi-wad cutters. That's the same mold you have now, Mike. And I chronoed some 145 stuff that I had, the stuff I just recently reassembled. Let's say, it seems to be a more accurate word. Anyway, so I chronoed all that stuff, but the 175 grain surprised me. I'm getting a standard deviation of about 7.8 feet per second. And some of the Winchester stuff, or some of the factory ammo, I do, as a matter of fact, have this information right here at my fingertips. And the Spear Gold Dot, I was getting a standard deviation of 32.8. American, I didn't write the results down for the American Eagle or the Winchester White Box, but the 175 grain, yeah, loaded up with probably a max load. I don't know. I have to check my records of a unique, but I got a 7.8 grains, 7.8 feet per second standard deviation. In other words, like Mike always says, my ammo performed better than factory ammo because I built it and I got lucky, I guess. But I built it and it's like it worked well for me. And let's see, what else did I forget to write down? Yesterday I downloaded the newest copy of Handloader magazine, and like I just said, I ran 822 rounds of my recent batch of 40 S&W through the factory crimp die because it needed it, and it's amazing what difference in sizes a good taper crimp can make. I do not want to start a crimp versus no crimp war, but this stuff needed it. Jason, did you do anything in Guns Reloading this week, my friend? Speak up, Jason. You're muted. Mute yourself, buddy.
I like talking when I'm muted.
We like it when you talk muted too.
Bite me, Bill. Met up with Dusty last night. He gave me all that stuff I asked for from his haul, from his reloading buddy at in the Air Force. So I grabbed that. It cost me In-N-Out burger and some fries.
Wow.
But,
That's a killer deal. Remember, I said I thought you should give him $100.
yep. And
he seems to be all right then.
he's okay. He's kind of simple. He's from North Carolina.
Still hasn't given you your annealer yet, right?
Nope, he hasn't. Didn't even mention that last night either. Come to think of it, maybe I should remind him. He and I are going shooting on Monday. I'm taking Monday off, and we're going out to the Nevada desert to go do some long range shooting. So we were chatting about that a little bit. That was it for me.
Well, we're all caught up.
Sorry, lovely time to cough. Yeah. All right. Anyway, so Jim, what do we have for the cartridge corner tonight?
Oh, you want more information from me?
Yep.
Well, how about we pick up on an old venerable cartridge? The 244 Remington. In other words, one of the worst mistakes Remington ever made. They built the rifle. Okay, I'll stop. In the history of the 244 Remington cartridge, in the early 1950s, Remington engineers began research towards a 6mm cartridge suitable for varmints through to bear. Having settled on the 257 Roberts case as the base for their design, the project members focused on suitable bullet weights. After much testing, it was determined that in the Roberts case, optimum performance came from bullets weighing 75 grains for varmints up to a maximum of 90 grains for use on deer. A slow rifling pitch of 1 in 12, one turn per 12 inches was chosen to stabilize these bullet weights, and in 1955, the .244 Remington was officially introduced. In the same year, Winchester introduced the .243 Winchester, utilizing 80 to 100 grain bullets and featuring a barrel twist rate of 1 to 9. Both cartridges were designed for dual use on varmints through to deer. However, the shooting public assumed that because Remington used lighter bullets, it must have been designed as a varmint cartridge first and foremost. On top of this, the long .244 cartridge was chambered in a short action, not ideally suited to the 57 millimeter case. That's generally speaking, that's the case we use for the long cartridges like 30-06, 7x57, 8x57, that family of cartridges. Excuse me. With 100 grain bullets, the .244 might lose powder capacity. The public was decided, and the .243 sales took off, leaving the .244 in the dust. In 1963, Remington attempted to regain ground by releasing the .244 rifles with a new 1 in 9 twist to handle the heavier bullets, just like Winchester did with the .243. The cartridge was renamed the 6mm Remington, and a new ammunition was loaded, giving the hunter a choice of either 80 grain bullets for varmints and 100 grain bullets for deer. The changes had little effect on the market, and the 6mm Remington has dwindled ever since. Remington has not produced the 6mm rifle cartridge. Remington has not produced 6mm Remington caliber rifles for several years, and the .244/6mm Remington today is somewhat of a classic cartridge. The cartridge is also occasionally adopted by hunters as a custom rifle chambering. I happen to know a friend who has 6mm Ackley improved, 6mm Remington Ackley improved rifle, and he absolutely adores that thing. But again, to use the Ackley cartridge and to get the best out of it, you have to use reloads, and he does. He reloads. I'll read a bit more if that's okay, Mike. If I'm doing all right tonight. As previously stated in the .243 Winchester text, the greatest virtue of both the .243 and the .244/6mm is that these cartridges offer adequate killing power for lighter, medium game at a noise and recoil level that can help any hunter shoot calmly and accurately. However, the 6mm bore is not as forgiving as wider bore sizes than those who use the 6mm's must explore both the strength and limitations of this bore size, along with a thorough understanding of the game anatomy. In other words, bullet construction, bullet placement. That's why you have to practice, right? In comparison to the .243 Winchester, factory loads for the .244/6mm Remington are slightly more powerful, while hand loads increase this margin even further. The .244/6mm has two levels of performance, which can be generally divided into factory rifles with the 22-inch barrels versus custom long magazine rifles with 24-inch barrels. The latter produce a noticeable increase in muzzle velocities with hand loads over both the .243 and the standard .244/6mm Remington. As with several Remington cartridges, the .244/6mm was designed with generous freebore. This allows both factory and hand loads to be driven at high velocities with relatively low pressures. By adopting a custom rifle with a magazine length more suited to the long 57mm Roberts/Mauser case, the .244/6mm performance can be enhanced further. I think I'm going to stop there. There's a bunch more information in here. Michael put it over in the show notes for us, guys.
Indeed. All right, gang. So, trying to remember where something was. Let's see here. First question of the night. I cannot close the window. So, Ryan posted in Reloading Podcast Facebook group. Unfortunately, while trying to quickly deprom a case, I stuck a case in my die. In the process of removing the case, I broke the expander ball of the stem. I have replaced stems and decapping pins, but cannot find the carbide ball anywhere. Please help, Hornady 223 die. If I remember correctly, you have to order the whole stem on that. Let me see here. Double check that. Never really broken a. Well, I've never stuck a case yet either. So, but yeah, that's kind of why you don't want to do stuff like that in a hurry, and you want to make sure that you use lubrication.
Lanolin.
Yeah, whatever. So, dun, 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 dun. Hey, Hornady's even got a stuck case remover. Anyway, looks like you have to contact them directly. So just give Hornaday a call or shoot them an email, and they'll be able to get you on the right path for that. But yeah, typically they do not list like your die stems and stuff like that beforehand. So yeah, it's just one of those things they just don't. I think even Lee doesn't. Just because they want you to, on something like that, typically if you're breaking something like that, then it's something went wrong, so that the manufacturers want to talk to the person and make sure. So
That's what I was going to say. Is Ryan should talk to Hornady, because I'm sure Hornady will stand behind their product.
In fact, I believe that's exactly what he did, Jim, and he did say that they're sending him out a new one, and he'll report back.
Sounds good.
I know my very first set of dies I got were for a 22-250, and right off the bat I did get a stuck case. I'm very surprised that you haven't gotten one yet, Mike.
it's because I use lube.
Imperial case size and wax works every time.
When you get a stuck case, your heart drops. It's a scary thing.
I had 7 of them in one evening, Travis. That's when I decided that I was using the white crap that Lee Precision sells.
Oh.
And that was when I was resizing machine gun fired brass. And 7 in one night, that was enough for me. So
Yeah,
that's when I realized I had better lubricant on hand. I had bullet swaging lubricant. Now I can't find it now, but I bought it more. It's pure lanolin from the sheep's wool, 100% anhydrous quality, pharmaceutical grade lanolin, and it works like a dream. It's the same stuff that Jason uses, mixed with 99% isopropyl alcohol for a spray-on case lubricant. It's a poor man's Hornady one-shot out of a regular spray bottle that you have to squeeze like you do a gun trigger. What is it, Jason? 10-to-1 ratio, 12-to-1, 12% lanolin, 88% isopropyl alcohol.
it's 10-1 or 12-1, and you want to use as high a rating alcohol content as possible.
Bradley in the chat wants to know, Jim, I thought you used woolly mammoth oil as lube.
I know when I got my stuck case, being a new reloader, you don't know how much lube you're supposed to use. So you think you're going too much lube. You don't want to do that. And then that's how I got a stuck case. I just didn't know how much lube I actually needed to put on the case. And I think I was at that point, Jim, using that exact same stuff you were talking about, the Lee little squeeze tube lubricant.
See, I went the other direction. I started off using like way too much, like lube dents in every shoulder, too much. And then I dialed it back until, it was where it needed to be. But the one and only stuck case I stuck, I knew it was stuck halfway up into the die. Like as I'm pulling down the handle, I'm like, uh-oh. And I don't know how better to tell people that. If you've never stuck a case, the first time you do, you will remember it vividly.
I don't remember my first case, but I remember the night I pulled 7.
Jim, when you get to like 350 years old, it's hard to remember that far back. But for the rest of us that are mere mortals, we remember.
And Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Okay, Pepperidge Farm and Jesus remember when Jim stuck his first case.
Y'all are brutal tonight. Shame on y'all.
You could take it. You got big shoulders.
But anyway, no, the lanolin is the way to go for as far as I'm concerned with this machine gun fired brass that I picked up a couple years ago. And then I'll work on building that up for my Ruger M77. I got a bunch of brass. I just want to get it reloaded, get it done, get it ready. Next question, Mike.
Our next question, Denny Rice posted in Reloading Podcast Facebook group. Okay, guys, I want to pick your brains again. Holy crap, I think those are slim pickings. I said the joke, so you can't. I'm looking at wet tumblers. It's between the Frankfurt Arsenal Platinum Series or Extreme Tumblers Rebel 17. Which one and why? There's about a $70 difference in machines. So I'm familiar with this Frankfurt, but I am not familiar with the Rebel 17. So, and I didn't look at that question before. Yeah, let's take a look at the 17. Honestly, there's so many people that are building their own now. I don't really know if you need to go and spend that type of money. So, especially, holy crap, they're proud of that one. So the Extreme Tumblers Rebel 17 is $229 on Amazon. It looks like it's welded and all sorts of fancy. I got a little motor with a pair of rollers. I mean, it's a standard looking tumbler. It's just instead of being round, it's got a hexagonal shape for the main drum, so it actually tumbles the stuff. So
is it a tumbler like the Tumbler's tumbler, or is it upright?
No, it's like the Tumbler. So, and the Frankfurt Arsenal is the same style. So, they're all $200 or more. Or well, I suppose you can get the Frankfurt for a little cheaper than that. But honestly, and I'll look on YouTube and find the videos if I can and try and put links in the show notes. But honestly, you can build ones that are better quality for cheaper. So
I know several guys in the reloading room have put up videos of the ones they built from a treadmill. That's for one example. Another guy built it out of PVC pipe.
Yep. Yeah, 4-foot chunk of PVC pipe with holes on the one end, and he's just got it on a I don't remember what he's got it on, but he's got it on a motor of some sort. But I mean, this looks like it's got a little, probably 8th horse motor. So
I know that my Lyman Turbo Pro Magnum, I could put a whole coffee can of 308 brass in it. And it doesn't even bat an eye. I think it was the best decision. When I burned up the other one, the standard size, I think it's a Turbo Pro, or I don't even know.
mm-hmm.
It's standard size Lyman, and I shouldn't have even bought it in the first place. I went cheap and made that mistake again.
I've even heard good stuff about the Crakey Harbor Freight.
Yeah,
they've got one.
The tumbler or the rock polisher?
Oh, I want to say it's a tumbler, or I mean a rock polisher.
well, the tumbler actually is a rock polisher, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
theoretically.
I got the Harbor Freight rock polisher, and I couldn't keep belts on it. It would just eat belts. And I did the alignment and all that, and I never could fix the issue, so I just gave up on it.
Was there a burr on one of the pulleys? Because that'll.
I did not see a burr, didn't feel one.
Okay.
But I did get their tumbler. I got their big one, and it works great. I ruined the lid to it right away. It cracked. So I just cut out a piece of plywood and used that as a lid. That thing's lasted me a lot of years now.
You
Are
can
you
use
talking about, like,
sorry.
So which one did you get now?
The vibrating tumbler, the big one.
Okay. Yeah.
Plumbers use it. It's made for liquid, but I use it with dry media.
Mm-hmm. That's not it. The big 18-pounder one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they got a little 5-pound one too, but. Oh yeah, that would work real nice.
Actually, I replaced that once. I think I burned up the motor.
Yeah.
The first one I got was bad, but the warranty that you purchase with those.
Yep.
When I replaced that thing, they charged me another warranty. So whatever that price was, if it was $40 or $60, whatever,
Yeah.
I had to pay that again to get another lifetime warranty, which I thought was a little odd.
Yeah. Well, it depends. I mean, if they have a lifetime warranty, 1-unit replacement, which I've seen a lot, especially in the automotive industry, it's not necessarily a lifetime. It's a lifetime or a lifetime warranty for the first replacement, and then after that, it's so. And here's something to consider. You can usually get 20-25% off coupons for Harbor Freight for one items. Sometimes if you catch them really good, you can get, I've seen up to 60 or 70%. So, I mean, you take that $164 tumbler, you get even a 25% that takes it down. And the nice thing is that it's a vertical, like my Hornady here. Except for it's a lot bigger. And it's got a drain tube so you can actually run liquid in it.
How much is it, Mike?
$164.99 now.
Holy crap.
The little one is like 60. It's a 5-pound. Which is
What'd you pay for yours, Jason? Do you remember?
I was thinking I paid 80 to 90, but that was a long time ago. I don't remember.
Yeah, and they've got the dual drums now, which doesn't use a belt; it's gear driven.
That would be better.
So, they're a dual. There's a single drum and a dual drum rock tumbler, and it's gear driven now instead of belt driven. So, those are the dual drum is $54.99, and the single drum is $44.99. So, and then they've got the different polishing abrasives too for if you decide you want to polish wrecks with it. So.
I do believe Jason called it a rock polisher.
Yep. Yeah, that's what Harbor Freight markets them all as.
Whatever you do, guys, don't try what I did. I tried sand. I tied it to an axle of a car and drove about 2 miles and ruined every case in that bottle.
Yeah.
It did.
That does remind me of a picture I saw over the week. One of those Gatorade coolers or Gatorade drink coolers, like they use to pour over the coaches at the end of games.
Right.
Zip tied and strapped to a wheel, and said, "My brass will be polished by the time I get home."
Okay.
So,
You know what? There's something we did overlook as far as the commercial reloaders, easy fill. As far as the commercial reloaders go, some of those guys have been known to use cement mixers.
yeah, Paul suggested that in the chat, and I was just getting to it. So,
I haven't looked at the chat since we went live.
slacker.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get cement mixers too. But I mean, there's lots of different ideas out there. The 5-gallon water jugs. So, if you've got a treadmill, basically what you do is you take. What I saw is somebody used one of those 5-gallon water jugs, and then they took their treadmill and they put a 2x4 across it, and then had like a roller attached to that 2x4. So when the jug would hit down against that 2x4, it wouldn't go any farther, but then it'd just sit there and spin. So the water jug the water jug, if you buy a water jug and dump the water out, you can get those for like 10 or 11 bucks. Usually you can find empty ones too. Treadmill obviously could be an expense. And probably the 2x4 with the roller on it. I think it was one of those boat rollers for like when you're putting boats on the trailer. So they made a 5-gallon one for probably 30 bucks, 40 bucks.
5 gallons of brass at a time is a lot of brass.
Yep. And you don't have to fill it full either. That's the thing.
True.
So if you don't want to put a cap on it, if you don't want to put a cap on, make a cap for it, then you can just, put some in there. So. But yeah, old cement mixers are good for lots of brass. That'd be like the Travis size. So.
Yeah, I was just commenting that my wife wants a project done, and I told her that I needed to buy a cement mixer, knowing dang well that the whole purpose behind it was to get that cement mixer for other purposes.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do sometimes,
Yeah, because I have 2 of the big RCBS vibratory tumblers, and that's a big holdup for me because I don't know how many it holds because I just scoop it out of a 5-gallon bucket, but that's what part of my holdup is. So I need something bigger. So in the chat, I was just asking some guys if they can use stainless steel pins in one of those cement mixers, and not at the same time, of course, but then use a dry media. Can you use both in one of those?
Why wouldn't you?
I've seen a video where a guy throws in some dishwasher soap and has his hose going in there, but I don't know if he used pins or not. But it'd be pretty nice if you could do, if you choose to do stainless steel pins or you want to do dry media, that would be really handy.
Yeah, could be.
I think it would take a lot of pins to fill or put enough Depends in that barrel, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the problem is you're going to wind up spending a lot of money on that. So,
Oh, but it's a one-time expense.
yeah.
Unless you lose them. Yeah. I've got a cement mixer I bought from Harbor Freight for doing large amounts of pistol brass, but I just do dry media in that.
Okay, well, that's what I was looking at getting. Is that you like that, or should you look at
Yeah,
it?
you just go to your local pet store and buy your big bag of lizard bedding, which is crushed walnut. Throw that in your cement mixer.
Yeah, at Sportsman's Warehouse one time they were clearancing out some of their media that's in 5-gallon buckets.
Yeah.
Both corn cob and walnut. So I bought all they had. So I've got a couple 5-gallon buckets of each under the bench.
Well, there you go, and just go to the local parts store and get yourself some New Finish, or Walmart and get yourself some New Finish liquid. Put a little bit of that in there. Turn the cement mixer on, let it run for a little bit, and then shut it back off. Throw your brass in.
Yeah, have you guys used that New Finish? Because I've used some other stuff one time and it didn't work out good.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That saves some money because I buy that Flitz.
Yep.
Oh,
that's
that's
good too.
$14 a thing though.
Yeah, that's expensive. It works, but it's expensive. So
Yeah, in our chat, I've seen this video. Jerry Michalik, how he cleans his brass. That's what he does. Is he's got a big cement mixer, and then he's got a big screen that he pours it all into and sorts it out, and then he throws it in an oven.
Yeah, that's the link I just posted in our chat. But I see somebody in the YouTube chat also mentioned it.
Travis, one thing I will warn you about is my Harbor Freight cement mixer. I burned up the motor on the first day.
wait a minute.
Really? How'd you do that?
Ran it too long. It wasn't made to run continuously.
Oh,
And it has a plastic heat sink at the back of the motor, and that melted and fell off. And so I kind of just figured out, okay, I overheated it, and the motor never would come back. So I had an extra motor laying around, so I just put it on there. It's been
okay.
running.
I'm in the same situation, so that won't be a problem. It's good to know, though.
Paul said cut a heavy wire screen to cover the mouth of the cement mixer. So
Yeah, like hardware cloth, something like that. 1/4-inch hardware cloth, not the 1/2-inch.
mm-hmm. Yep. So all right, gang. Yeah, so I would say neither. Build your own or go buy one of the other alternatives. So Carl says he uses a dehydrator to dry the brass. You know what I'm going to recommend? Go get yourself a really nice electric smoker.
Smoke your brass?
Smoke your brass. Well, it gets up to 230 degrees. You only need it to get it to about 150 to dry the brass. And then,
Mike,
then you can smoke meat in it too.
Yep.
since you mentioned a food dehydrator, did you see I don't know if it was in our group or what, but a guy used an old food dehydrator to dry his brass.
Yep.
And he says he just ran to the store to pick something up and was gone for 5-10 minutes. And when he came back, his house was on fire. Burned his house down. He had pictures of all of it.
Interesting. So my immediate thought would be, well, don't leave things unsupervised. And be careful with your appliances because when they do get to a certain point, you can have electrical fires because of the equipment failing and the fail-safes failing. So.
Oh, Jason just mentioned his Harbor Freight cement mixer failed on him the first day.
They're commenting about my using a smoker. Somebody said they wouldn't use a smoker for smoking my ribs and brass. And then somebody says you don't smoke meat in an electric smoker. That's blasphemy. That's a lie. Those of us who love to smoke meat but don't have the time to babysit the fire the whole time. That's why you get an electric smoker. So
Traeger. Get a Traeger.
they don't have the money for a Traeger. Someday. Someday I'll be independently wealthy. Maybe when my bum children get the hell out of my house.
Not likely.
That's about the time I bought my Traeger, is when the kids left.
I can dream. I'll go start a GoFundMe for buying a Traeger. How does that sound? So, I don't know. I've seen the comments between the egg and now they're arguing Traeg and Egger. Or Traeger and egg. Big green egg. Electric smokers call it an oven. Not if it's outside. So anyway. Now at some time in time what I'm going to do is I'm going to build myself a nice big brick fireplace outside. Kind of like an old brick oven. And then I can use that too. So, but anyway, back to reloading because this isn't the meat smoking podcast. J. Andrew Burnett posted in the Reloading Podcast Facebook group. I'm a precision rifle hand loader, and to that end, I take my details very seriously. I've always used a. I think we covered that question. Never mind. We covered that question already.
Sorry.
No problem.
Yep, color it. Do whatever you want.
We'll make it poop brown.
It's fine. Okay, the next question you didn't want to cover until you did a SHOT Show reloading show. I forgot about that. That'd be question 4.
Yeah, I don't know enough about that to answer, so.
Okay, well, you can take it out.
Okay.
I'll clean it out. Go ahead.
So Alex posted in the reloading room on MeWe. Question for those who've done it before. I was working on recreating 180 to 200 grain gas checked deer 600 yard target. 1750 to 1850 feet per second. Jim moved the question on me. Hang on a second.
Sorry.
Excuse me. Okay. I was working on recreating 180 to 200 grain gas check deer 600 yard target, 1750 to 1850 feet per second, 26 grains of RL Salvador equipment by C.E. Harris. I'm not sure what caliber he's using, but what caliber C.E. Harris was doing. So
Probably odd 6.
yeah, Google that crap quick. At any rate, he says he's using 195 grain gas check 762 by 54R, 313 diameter. So here's a question, kids. Why would he be using a 313 diameter bullet?
Because it's an older Mosin gun.
Mm-hmm.
So those
Some of
are
those bullets 311, 312, 313. In normal practice for cast bullets is 2 thousandths over or a groove diameter. So if he's got a 311 bullet, which is pretty much standard for the older Mosins, so he's right in there where he should be. But anyway, he's wanting to shoot cast bullets. He's wanting to keep the life on this Mosin he's got. He wants to take and treat the old girl rather gently, and lighter loads will prolong the life of that particular rifle indefinitely, especially with cast bullets.
So this came from an article written by C.E. Harris that was called Cast Bullet Loads for Military Rifles. Cast bullets can make shooting that surplus rifle easy and economical, and basic data works for many different guns. So this is, I found it on Cast Bullets, so I'll put a link in the show notes for this. But basically, so what he's trying to do is follow CE Harris's thought process that you can take this load, you can take this basic premise, and it's good across the board for different milsurp rifles. So like Enfields, Moist Nuggets, K98s. You know, I don't know if it worked for Arasakas or not, but that's kind of the premise behind it. And so he's got a whole bunch of different stuff here, and all these different options. So, and I'm just looking to find. That's the 200 target. I don't see the. Okay. So he's got a small game gallery load. He's got a 100-yard target small game load. He's got a 200-yard target load, and then he's got what is called the Deer 600-yard target load. So, and he kind of talks about this. So, and it looks like this is based off. Let's see who came up with this. It says 4 load classifications from Mattern, Mattern, in 1932, cover all the uses for cast bullet military rifles. So I mean, it's talking about in here about that one. So he says he gives a couple of different options here. Says the Deer and 600-yard target load can be assembled in cases of 30-40 Krag capacity or larger, up to 30-06, using 18 to 21 grains of 2400, or 42-27, 22 to 25 of 4198.
C.E. Harris said that.
Yeah, 25 to 28 grains of RL7 or 27 to 30 grains of 4895, which usually gives 17 to 1800 feet per second, depending on the case size. Charges must not be used in cases smaller than the 303 British without cross-checking against published data. The minimum charge should always be used initially, and the charge adjusted within the specified range only as necessary to get best grouping. So. But and he kind of goes on about some of the different things and stuff. So, and he kind of covers the whole 313 thing. Oversized 30 is like the 303 British, 77 Jap, 765 Argentine, 762 39 Russian. Frequently give poor accuracy with 30 caliber cast bullets because designed for U.S. barrels having a 300 bore and a 308 group dimensions. This is because the part of the bullet ahead of the driving bands receives no guidance in the lands in the barrel of larger bore diameter. Quick rule of thumb to checking proper fit of the forepart is to insert the bullet nose first into the muzzle. If it enters clear up to the front driving band without being noticeably engraved, accuracy will seldom be satisfactory. So, kind of gives you an idea back. So, and then he talks, he breaks down about Finnish and Russian 7.62x54s and talks about different things. And so it's a good read. And the chat that goes on after it is really good too. So, as is most things on Cast Bullets. So he's actually talking. Where'd it go? So he's actually talking, going with a higher charge than recommended.
Yep.
Because he says using 195 grain gas check, 7.62x54, 313 diameter. He doesn't have RL7, and since if it's an equivalent, I was wondering about 27 to 28 grains of 4198. will do the trick, because Quick Load has it about 1793 to 1843. Thoughts? Am I on the right track? Given the fact that, part of the challenge with this is given the fact that you're talking about old data. I thought I had a cast bullets manual around here. I guess I don't. Oh, that's right, I don't. So, but let me see if I can check something here. So, I mean, the problem we're running into is you've got some older data. And the powders have changed quite a bit. From this data. So unless somebody's been updating the information, then you're going to run into issues. Let's see here. Oh, that's not what I want. There we go. So I do have an old copy of the Cast Bullet Handbook from Lyman. This is the 3rd edition.
That's a good book.
So the last printing on this was 92. So it's a lot newer. But let's see what we've got. 77, 303, Argentine Mauser. Okay, so it's going to have the information we want. Now I just got to get to the page. Okay. I got rid of my mouse. I switched mice because I have a wireless keyboard now. It's a lot quieter. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the quick scroll that my other one did. So I got used to that. Holy crap, cast bullets out of a Weatherby? That's kind of scary.
Oh, yeah. I put cast bullets through my Ruger M77.
Oh, they're pushing them slow.
Oh, yeah.
19.
Yep. Never want to do more than 2. Well, we went up to 2,400 on my son's Winchester 1895 or 1894, excuse me. And we went up to 2,400, but we couldn't keep it on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So we realized, what's the point?
Yeah, you can push it faster, but if it won't stay accurate, then yeah, what is the point? We're getting close. 300 Savage. That's a Craig. That'd be fun. 300 Holland Magnum.
Yeah, 300 H&H.
All right, so
That's quite a bit more powerful than the 7.62 by 54R.
yeah, just a bit. Oh, let's see here. Okay, so on Mattern's load, he's talking about using 18 to 21 grains of 4227. So in the Lyman 3rd, with a 208 grain bullet, they were using 27 to 30. So 4227. and oops, 169 grain, because 208 is the only one that has the 4227, but the other three, the other two use, they've got 169 grain and 151 grain. 169 grain, it's 22 to 24 again on the 2400. So that's where'd it go? 18 to 21. So it's actually a little more powder than what Mattern's recommendation is. But you're also getting a little more speed. So I would say, given all the information and double checking, and keeping in mind that the Lyman third is a little old, I would say that that's probably, obviously your mileage may vary. Make sure you're following safety and everything. He did run it through quick loads, and quick loads is pretty good to tell you if you're going to blow something up or not. So I would say start on the lower end, work your way up, watch for pressure signs, as always. So for an Arisaka with a 200 grain, they go 21 to 24 of the 2400. Now, see, here's the difference on load data, because as we were saying, Matters is, from 32. This one's from 92. And it says for the 2400, you should use 21 to 24 grains. For the 4227, 28 to 30. So obviously those powders have differed over the years. So that's kind of what you're looking at there, is the difference there. I'm just going to do a quick Google search. And let's see here what I want to do. I want to I'm going to check one thing here. I hate scrolling. You guys can talk too. It's not like the world's going to end if any of you guys talk.
Well, Travis has a topic he wants to talk about next.
Yep.
Next, Travis, not now.
So we can start a caliber war while we wait.
Sure.
Crimp versus no crimp.
Crimp versus no crimp. Send it, Jim.
I just did. Taper crimp. 40 S&W. I had to have it.
It's been my experience that straight wall cartridges usually like a taper crimp.
Yep.
I tell you what, I've got a Kimber 1911 that, as long as you diligently load the ammo correctly, that gun feeds like a dream. I got a little sloppy with my crimp, and all of a sudden that gun started locking up hard, would not feed around.
Kimbers are known for being real tight.
Yeah. And then, like I said, that gun on factory ammo back before I was reloading never gave me any trouble. But when I took the individual rounds that would not fully chamber, I put them off on the side, brought them home, ran them through crimp dye, didn't touch anything else on them, and then brought them back out of the range. They shot fine. So, nothing else changed. I just tightened up the crimp a little bit, and that was enough.
Well, you see, I was having issues. My ammo wouldn't even go into battery.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It'd get into the chamber, and then your slide would stop like an eighth of an inch shy. Yep. And
you tap the slide to make to close it. No, that's not reliable ammo.
Nope. And you see that with straight wall cartridges. I don't see that ever with 9mm, because 9mm is not a straight wall cartridge. It's a very, very slightly tapered cartridge, which even a lot of veteran gun guys don't realize. But I mean, it's one reason I favor 9mm. It is just because it's taper cartridge, it's inherently going to be a little more forgiving.
Hold up for a minute, Phil, if you don't mind, because we're covering ground we've this been covered many times. Mike, did you find what you want?
I didn't find what I wanted, but yeah, it looks like it's not going to generate a hell of a lot of pressure doing that. So you're looking at probably about estimated 26,000 psi using a 27 grain charge of IMR 4198. It's approximately a 55% fill rate. So
That's well, the rifle itself should be able to stand that. It's 55,000 psi rifle, isn't it?
mm-hmm.
Because I mean, it is equivalent to 30-06. But again, I don't take my word for it. That's just an assumption on my part. We all know what happens when you assume things.
Yep.
All right, did we beat that topic to death then, Mikey?
I would say so.
Travis, you're up.
Okay, guys. So we got some stuff to do a giveaway. For those watching, it is from FW Arms. I know I've beat this topic to death, but I love my decapping dies. So what the guys over FW Arms have done for us is they've given us some cool stuff to give away to you guys, the listeners. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a giveaway, and you guys need to send an email to Mike over at the Reloading Podcast. Is it the Reloading Podcast at Gmail? Mike?
Yes.
So
Yes.
send Mike an email at the Reloading Podcast at gmail.com. Tell him what press you have and the calibers you load and why you want to receive this giveaway. And we're going to be doing more than one. So send in your requests and your emails to Mike, and here's what you're going to get. Here is his decapping die for those watching. It's a very nice setup. It has a die body, and then up top is a nice heavy brass end cap on here. And the cool thing about his setup is it has a guide bushing similar to like a Hornady seating die. So for those watching, it's got a guide bushing right here. So when your brass goes up, it stabilizes your brass. And then as it goes down, your pin comes out and it decaps your brass. You'll be getting one of these. You will also be getting one of his Swage backer dies. It's the same thing. It's got a guide bushing, and then you can see it's got the Swage backer rod in there. But wait, there's more. You'll be getting Swage backer die, decapping die. You will getting a replacement decapping shaft and 2 replacement pins. So I've been running these for a while, and I love this die. So for guys running a progressive, this is really awesome because as your brass comes around, sometimes they kind of wobble, and this guide bushing will captures the neck of your brass and it stabilizes it. And for that one reason right there, I've been super impressed with this die. It's easy to take apart and replace a pin if you ever did break one. You guys have heard me talk about how many 5-gallon buckets I've been processing with brass, and I won't lie, I have broken one pin and it was super easy to replace. And like I say, I love these diets right here. So if you guys want these, go ahead and send Mike that email, and good luck.
So the
Make
concept,
sure.
this is only going to
Go
run
ahead,
till Friday. So today is June 18th. This contest is only going to run till June 21st. Any emails after June 21st at midnight Pacific time. So that would be what, 3 a.m. Eastern, technically. Will not be counted. And this whole contest will never make it onto the airing for the episode. The announcement for this contest is only for people who are watching live right now. We're going to do a bunch of giveaways for a whole bunch of other things, as Travis was saying, but this specific contest for right now, send that email to reloadingpodcast@gmail.com, and I put it in the chat, only until Friday. Does that make sense?
Short and sweet and fair.
Well, at some point, Mike, I do want to give some of these away on our Facebook.
Right.
So we'll find out later, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, so just awesome, and thank you, Travis, for all your work on securing that. And
Yeah, go. Oh, and you guys do need to get over to fwarms.com. He is running a sale right now on these. They're regularly, let me just look. I think regularly they're $49.95, and he has them on sale for $34.95.
nice.
And honestly, they are well worth it. Besides that, an awesome guy, and even if you don't purchase something, if you like always, if you guys could go over there and just tell him thanks for supporting us, that would be great.
Excellent. All right. So, Mark, just remember to take all the parts about the giveaway out when you go to post this.
Just remembered my squeaky chair's back.
Sweet.
Oh, that's just like the good old days, Jim.
That's right.
Very traditional.
Did you ever listen to Jim on the original podcasts, Phil, when he did them by himself? And
I
he had
wasn't
that
born.
nice squeaky chair.
I wasn't born that long ago.
Well, I'll tell you,
Believe
that
it-
squeaky chair is when I knew I was listening to somebody that I should be listening to. That was the real deal.
Why do you say that, Travis?
I don't know why. It just went when I'd hear you talk about reloading, and then you'd ease back on that chair, and it would squeak a little bit. I knew it was just kind of like coming up to Grandpa's lap and listening to him tell the good old stories about the good old days.
So you dream about sitting in Jim's lap? Is that what you're saying?
Oh,
I don't know what I got out of that.
I think we need to have a little time out.
No,
we know how it
ain't
gets all
gonna be no time on either.
wow. That went sideways quick.
Now
All
we know how he gets all the free product to give away on the show.
Oh, geez.
That's literally taking one for the team.
Anyway, Travis, thank you. I know what you meant, but I thank you. So, but we'll just leave it at that.
Hey, Phil, remember that thing I was going to send you? You can forget about that now.
That's fine. I didn't want it anyway because you called me fat.
I called you fatty. I didn't call you fat. I called you fatty.
The word fat is included in fatty, just like some other words I'm not going to utter on this podcast. It's much too highbrow for that. But sure,
Oh, good grief.
I'll save that for a private chat.
All right. One more question for the night. Andrew Butler shared his first post in the reloading room on Facebook. Hey guys, just got started reloading. I got a Marlin 1895 4570 for my birthday, and realized how expensive that thing can be to shoot. Having always wanted to get into reloading, now I have an excuse to make the jump. I loaded up 5 rounds of Hornady 325 grain FTX with 46 grains of AA 1680 and Winchester large rifle primer. The round shot fine, but huge fireballs out the end of my gun. The factory X-Zero ammo I shot right after did not. Did I do something wrong? I don't know. Is your goal to have fireballs out the barrel?
Sounds reasonable.
I think that'd be cool. On a 1895.
I looked up Hornady. They have 1895 specific data for the 325 FTX, and accurate 1680. He's like right in the middle of the range.
Yeah.
So he's nowhere near an overpressure situation. The only thing I want to point out, because I'm the nerd that always points this out when we talk about FTX bullets, just bear in mind that the Hornady FTX bullets do recommend a different case trim length than standard because of the way the bullet's designed and where the cannula is. So if this guy's going to continue to load FTX bullets and he hasn't looked into Hornady's data, I'd recommend it because they're the ones that made the bullet.
Yep.
But other than that, 46 grains, he's nowhere near max. So I would just say, pad your shoulder and grin.
Well, it sounds to me like I don't know Accurate Arms powder, and I'll be the first to admit it, but it sounds to me like it's a slow powder. And he's just probably not accustomed to using slow powder out of a short barrel. What is that barrel? 18.5 inches long, something like that, on that lever action rifle?
Probably about that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Even a 20 or 22, those are short barrels for slow powder. That's probably what the gent's got going on.
16A is slower than IMR 4198 for comparison's sake. I don't know how much slower because,
Oh, hell, 4198, you can use that in handguns.
So Andrew's in the chat. He did have the cases trimmed down to the recommended trim length.
Okay.
And so Thomas Peterson said the ogive is really fat and needs to be sat really deep. Thinks the bullet design was a bad idea from Hornady. So
thank you for that, and Andrew. I see the 18 inches.
Yep. So Paul Nelson says use 4895. Thomas Peterson said H335 is a good one to use too.
Bacon's got a good tidbit. He's talking about Hornady's short brass for the FTX bullets. That refers back to the cut length that Phil was talking about.
Yep. So, also try Leverushin powder. I've heard it works pretty well. So, but yeah, Thomas Peterson also said H4198 if you want to turn it down for your shoulder. So lower pressure, lower kick. Because 4570 in a lever gun, or in honor of Doc Weston, a lever. Really kicks. He says cases came out dirty too. Yeah, because you've got a lot of unburnt powder. That's why you get in the fireballs. So, honestly, if you continue using that powder in that setup, you're kind of wasting powder. So, because you're going to have a lot of unburnt in the barrel, in the action, on the ground, on the back of the bullet, in the case, in the magazine tube, in the pickup, everywhere. You're going to spend a lot more time cleaning that thing. So, but he said Varget's about as slow as he would go for the 4570. Thomas said so, and he spends a lot of time loading 4570. That's one of my dream cartridges. So. Andrew just asked if he should lower his load and try that, or just switch powder. So, there are a lot of powders that are probably better suited to 4570. The guys have given you a few, but absolutely switch powder. Because like I said, you're just throwing money because you're wasting powder. The last thing we ever want to do is, unless of course we're trying for the fireball, the last thing we ever want to do as a reloader is throw unburnt powder down the barrel, because that's money, and we're trying to save money. So,
But sometimes fireballs are fun.
hell yeah,
And
there.
that's what you're going after.
That's why I said, unless you're trying for a fireball. Fireball's real fun.
Max charges a power pistol.
My first set of fireballs was educational.
They always are.
Fireballs are fun unless they're out of a stubby.
Done that too.
Ooh. Well, yeah.
So, yeah, yeah. I would not want to have fireballs out a snub nose revolver.
Mm.
So, but yeah, out of a 4-inch barrel or 6-inch barrel, heck yeah. Loads of Bacon says H110 and a snubby 44 mag is great for fireballs.
Ooh.
Well, yeah, but that's a little close. So, anyway, so yeah, definitely change powder. All right, gang. We're here live every week, Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. Central on YouTube. It also gets posted on Gunstreamer, I think, after we shut the video off. I don't know. Then it usually posts 2 weeks later, or a week and a half later is what it is, because we've got a couple in the can. So in case something happens, we've got a little buffer. Always great feedback from the chat. If we say something stupid, they let us know right away. They always give us crap during the show too, which is fun. So if you ever get a chance, check it out. Otherwise, if you get a chance, swing over to the YouTube channel and you can watch the video, and then you'll see the chats as it pops up as you go. So firearmsradio.tv/reloading-podcast is where you can find the show notes. And I want to take time to thank everybody who sends us emails and texts and leaves us voicemails. Yeah, you guys definitely got to check out the comments. They've gone south quick. But I want to take time to thank everybody. Email address, again, reloadingpodcast@gmail.com. Our phone number for text messages and for leaving a voicemail, 608-467-0308. And if you have a question you need answered right away, swing over to the Reloading Room on Facebook. You can use Google search to check all the posts that have ever happened in that place, or join up and ask a question. Make sure you read the rules first. If you just want to hang out and enjoy some shenanigans, the Reloading Podcast group on Facebook and the Reloading Podcast group on MeWe.
The MeWe group seems to be becoming more lively.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
With MeWe is it's got a chat feature, and then it's also got a page posting. So, a lot of the chat's really lively, and we've got a few regular posters in there. So, definitely need more. And actually, I've used the desktop version a few times, and it's not actually that bad either. So, the Android app is decent, but unfortunately, I just haven't had as much time around as some of the other ones. So, just want to take time to thank everybody for checking that all out. If you want to help out the show, send the emails, send the notes, shoot us a message on Facebook. We also do have our Reloading Podcast page on Facebook. The difference between the page and the group: page is public for everyone to see. The group is got some privacy settings. So if you're one of those people that you love the hobby, but you have family, friends, or possibly employers that may not necessarily take cotton to you being in the gun world, the Reloading Podcast group is a good place to go. So And so if you want to help the show out, you can send us comments, questions, emails. That's a great way to do it. If you're shopping Amazon or Brownells, swing over to firearmsradio.tv and you can find the Brownells and the Amazon links. Helps out the network, doesn't cost you any extra money. And we also have an awesome group of individuals which send us their hard-earned money every month. That's the Patreons. And in return, they get a special Facebook group, which we kind of all don't really pay much attention to, but we do every once in a while. We're getting better at that one. But we also are eligible to win prizes and giveaways separate from the normal stuff. So like this here that I just picked up, after I get done with these, they're both giveaways. We've got a bunch of other stuff. And then tomorrow night, which Mark, don't post this, but tomorrow night, for those who are listening live, at 7:30 Central, I'm actually going to do that Mech Shot Shell Reloader giveaway. So I'll do that through the Facebook podcast group. So that's all I got for now, gang. Is there any shout outs? You kids get off my lawn! And on that note, keep your brass shiny.
Be an asset, not a liability.
Get out and do some bullet casting.
Buy it cheap and stack it deep.
Take someone shooting. It's the best thing you can do.
Or 3 people. Thanks, everyone.